So these new light humans appear to be half-elves, and they have elven ears on human models. They're calling the light crystal that they see as the son of the zone, Beledar, which sounds very similar to Belore, and if you may have heard Anu Belore de Lana, you might know it means the sun guides us, because Belore means sun in the elven language. Beledar sounds like another ship name mixed with the word Belore. They're riding lynxes that they might have brought from Kualtalas, and you might know the elven reunion is happening at midnight. Could these be a half-elven kingdom we never knew existed and was exiled because these humans mixed with the elves? Seeing that they have no affiliation with the Alliance whatsoever, could they eventually join the Horde and even become playable? I know, sounds super crazy, but if I told you stone dwarves would be playable for the Horde half a year back, you would think that is crazy as well. Who even are these half-elves? If you guys want to buy Total War, Elder Scrolls, or any other game, you can get them at great prices with my Gamivo link. You can also get anything Warcraft related, gift cards and software, and all below market prices. Best of all, if you add my code DORON, you can get an even bigger discount, so make sure to check out my link in the description and get some amazing deals with Gamivo. I've talked about these guys multiple times by now, and they seem to be one of the most exciting storylines of the new expansion that we're going to see throughout the entire World Soul Saga. Really, advanced human civilization that we never heard about, with their own version of the light and their own technology, but also connected to the history that we are very well aware of. However, now that the alpha has started a little while back, we got about 10 different hints so far, completely new hints that make this even more interesting, and that created some really interesting implications as well as a very likely potential setup for Midnight. Keep in mind, at the time of this video, the alpha started about 2 weeks ago. They're only opening one zone at a time, and the Arati zone Hellowfall is one of the lowest most layers of Khazlagar, so it will take a little bit more time to actually get a storyline that will answer a lot of these questions. But of course, we did data mine new models, we data mined voice lines, we data mined conversations, names and such that already reveal quite a bit of information. I've said this in multiple videos, but these Arati humans are an expedition of an undiscovered human kingdom that split prior to the 7 human kingdoms that we're all well aware of. Now check this out, I'm going to give you a little bit more lore context on them, but not just for the sake of the lore and the history, but because there are a few key moments that happened here in the past that explain what is even going on in the alpha. So 2 interesting things have been discovered in the alpha itself. They seem to be half-elves mostly, which is the first time we had even seen this in the game. Don't get me wrong, half-elves exist. We know many characters that are half-elves, and because they just added the half-elven ears to them, they're also making this a customization that is playable as well. However, it seems like a lot of these people are actual half-elves. It can't be confirmed yet, as you're yet to discover Hellowfall and really examine all the models up close, but we have what appears to be their leader, and that is Therin Lothar. You can clearly see that she has half-elven ears. Now, this leads us to even more implications. It appears that their mount, what they're riding, are lynxes, which if you play DBC, you might know this is like the main mob of Kualtalas, and they're highly linked with the elves. Of course, we don't know what the fauna of Khazlagar is, whether they're actually native, but it is very likely that these half-elven humans brought the lynxes from Kualtalas and then brought it to this expedition, and that they're not in fact native to the zone. However, here comes the real mind twister. Like, this is super interesting. So the crystal we speculated about, we got a bit more info in the alpha. Not entirely clear, of course. You can check out my video on a detailed account of everything we know, but by all accounts so far, it is called Beledar, which is, of course, insanely similar to the name of Draenei ships and Naru ships in the past: Vindikar, Genedar, Exodar, Zenedar. However, this is not the point. It appears that the humans gave the name Beledar to the ship. Now check this out. The humans refer to the crystal as the sun. It quite literally functions as the sun in this underground zone. Does the name Beledar sound oddly similar to something you heard before, and that is Belore? You must have clicked the plot elf a couple of times that said Anu Belore de Lana, which means the sun guides us. Why would the humans name the sun Beledar? That brings us to the question, if it is a Naru ship, it would have its own Naru name, it wouldn't be called an elven name, but I actually think it is a mix of both. Maybe the original name was difficult for them to pronounce, so they just added Belore to the ship name as they saw it as the sun. Naming conventions for Naru ships almost always fit the exact same pattern: Exodar, Genedar, Zenedar, Mekanar, Vindikar. So it seems to quite literally be a mix between some Naru ship name and Belore, hence Beledar. However, that is of course just one of the hints. As I said, what appears to be the leader of these humans is named Therin Lothar. Does this sound like a little guy you might know from the past? Anduin Lothar, one of the main heroes of the Alliance, who was also known as one of the last of the Arati bloodline, of the original Arati bloodline. Why does this relatively young character go by Lothar? Could she be an actual daughter we never knew Anduin Lothar had that discovered this kingdom and took leadership? Or is this just a separate ruling family that left that also goes by Lothar? Check out the lore that we know. Some nearly 3k years ago, the humans united under the Arati Empire, and their most famous endeavor was the Troll Wars against the Amani, where they had united together with the High Elves, who then subsequently taught the humans magic. Eventually, over 1,000 years later, this Arati Empire would split into the 7 kingdoms you definitely know of: Lordaeron, Dalaran, Altera, Gilneas, Skulltira, Stormwind, and Stromgarde. Now, these Arati guys had apparently split before this official split, and they founded a new kingdom beyond the sea. From this new kingdom that could potentially be on Avaloran, a group of paladins, of uber paladins, of light fanatics, got a vision of a falling star around Kazlagar, and now here we are. No use, however, on the main kingdom though, whether it exists or not, or whether it was destroyed, and these are the only guys that remain. We literally know nothing at the time. Previously, I stated that this split could have happened even prior or during the Troll Wars, but seeing that they're using elven words, elven language, they're lightning lynxes, they're half-elven, it is very likely this happened after the Troll Wars. This split could also be very interesting as to why it actually happened. The official Arati Empire remained in Stromgarde, and it is said that one of the last Arati was Anduin Lothar, and it is very likely that these Arati humans are a part of the original ruling family, potentially a brother of the Emperor in the ancient past. The calling of the Light would be a good explanation onto why they split, but as I said, this split happened after the new kingdom was founded across the sea. This across the sea kingdom must be far away from the eastern kingdoms, as we never ran into them, no one ever mentioned these guys existing, which means they must be on some type of an inaccessible continent. Otherwise, we would of course get traders, visitors, alliances, like we would have definitely heard about these guys by now. What if, for example, the Arati Empire humans didn't like the fact that these guys were mixing so closely with the elves, so they exiled them because they were half-elves, and that is why they decided to leave the continent? Maybe there was a civil war that happened a few thousand years ago that also played a role in this. I do think the half-elven theory could be very likely. I mean, remember, despite the elves and the humans being allies, anti-elven sentiment wasn't exactly non-existent with the humans. I mean, you must remember Gyarados from Warcraft 3. Now, if this really is the case, this immediately implies they're going to have a significant role in Midnight. We all know that the theme of Midnight is going to be an elven reunion, which will be happening in Silvermoon with a revamped Qualtelas. Well, if these guys are half-elves, that means they're going to join in on that elven reunion, and maybe not even just these light guys, we might find the Mother Kingdom on Avaloran. Furthermore, I somehow feel like this is going to be so related because of the Crystal Beledar, the Naru and all, and we know that the Void Invasion will be happening through the Sunwell that also contains a Naru essence. I somehow feel like these half-elven paladins going to Silvermoon together with Illyria could play a role in the start of the Void Invasion. I know, this is a little bit out there. We might be getting these guys playable for the Horde if they join in on the Silvermoon reunion. You need to keep in mind, these guys have zero, and I mean zero, affiliation with the Alliance or the Horde. They split thousands of years before the Alliance even became a thing, so the Blood Elves and the humans are really the same thing to them, especially if they are half-elves. They have no connection with Stormwind whatsoever. The first Alliance of Lordaeron was an incredibly recent thing, and the last time they were on Eastern Kingdoms, I mean, Qualtelas and the Arati Empire were allies that were sort of united. Of course, I'm not sure how popular this option would be, but if I told you the Horde would be playing Stone Dwarves half a year ago, everyone would think I was just crazy with speculations and that it just sounds super ridiculous. Of course, it is still too early to speculate this far into Midnight, but seriously, with the setup on the half-elven humans, Naru, Light, and the Crystal, this could seriously be one of the best pieces of the lore we are going to get. We're probably going to learn a lot about the Light from them. They might be wielding a new form of light that is not predatory as the one we had seen, and they really seem to be much more than just side characters set for a single patch that are just going to remain in this expansion. Thank you for watching. Check out how I'm doing as a man of the light by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek oddities in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!